Well, hello everyone, I'm Carl Tanana and we're here today to talk about the new global law trials that are already in effect in the Northern Hemisphere and come into place in the Southern Hemisphere from the 1st of January 2018. Now I've enlisted the services of World Rugby referee manager Alan Roland to just tell us a little bit more about what's going on now. So Alan, what are we here today for?
Today we have got organised a couple of lads from a local club here in Dublin to come down and help us to explain the 6 new law trials that have come into effect, and we're going to go through each of them to give a clear understanding to refs, to spectators, to coaches and to players, so that hopefully the objective by the time we've done is that they have a clear understanding of how everything is supposed to look.
Let's do it. Alright Rollers, take us through the first one.
Okay, the first one is there's no signal from the referee to the number 9 in relation to the scrum feed. Okay. Alright, so we're going to call it in, and once they're set and the objective is steady scrum, then the ball goes in. Okay? Alrighty guys? Crouch. Bind. Set. Okay?
Simple.
Simple. And this one here, KT, what we're looking at is the scrum half is going to be allowed to stand slightly off to the centre line. Okay, so once it's again steady, he's able to take that little step across before the scrum feed.
So it's not a big step, it has to be...
His shoulder line, his shoulder has got to be in touch with the middle line. Okay, so let's have a look at how this one goes. Alright, so crouch, bind, set. Now you'll see he'll stand small step to the right, scrimp and strike. Okay, and again the objective around that is we're conscious, you know, in introducing a strike, is that we don't want to be overextending the players when it comes to, but we're insisting on a straight feed, and it gives them an opportunity to strike the ball. The third step now is that a player in the front row has got to strike for the ball. Okay. Now traditionally it'll probably be the hooker, but if it's not the hooker, it could be the prop can also strike. Okay. And the strike must be immediate. So it's not one where the ball can go into the tunnel and wait there. It's got to go in and it's got to be struck, you know, immediately. So that's our objective for this third one.
Anyone in the front row? Anyone
in the front row. But I would say traditionally it'll probably be the hooker. Okay. Okay? Ready to go? So, crouch, bind, set. Okay, so if we bring the 3 of them together, what we've had is number 1, no signal. Yep. Number 2, he's allowed to take a small step. And number 3, when it goes in, it's got to be struck immediately.
Beautiful. Alright Rollers, take us through the next situation.
Okay, this is the last situation, is where the number 8 is now allowed to pick the ball out of the second row. Okay, there's a safety element involved in this, but also a continuity element involved in this. Alright, so if the ball has been put in, or when the ball has been put in and it's been struck and it gets lodged in the second row, previously he was not allowed to play the ball until it was at his feet. Yes. But now he can actually reach in, or if the team is under pressure and it's been put into the second row and they're beginning to be put under pressure, he's allowed to reach in and pick it and play the ball immediately. Okay. Alright, so it's going to allow just to try and get more ball out of the scrum.
Rollers, now let's go through the new tackle law.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see exactly, have a tackle situation here, and you're going to see that the tackler's got to get up on his feet and he's got to come back around the gate before he's allowed to play it. Alright, so let's have a look and then we'll freeze it. So tackle, you'll see he's come back around, freeze it there, and you'll have seen he's had to come back around before he's entitled to have any rights on that ball again.
Alright Rollers, what are we trying to do here around this area?
Okay, so what you would have seen is the player had to come all the way around the gate before he's got any rights to play the ball. Alright, and the objective really is to kind of clear up this area, alright, bring it in line with the ruck law, and to simplify how everything is actually done.
So I can understand it.
Everybody can, yeah. So KT, what we're looking at here now is what you were no longer allowed to do. All right, so there was always an opportunity where the player would try and get up and beat the ruck to see if he could play the ball. So we'll have a look at what happens here now. So tackle is made, player's getting straight up on his feet and he's playing the ball, and he's now, as we saw on the previous one, he's got to go around the gate before he's entitled to do that. Okay, because we need to keep this area clear.
Well, like you say, he's there making a mess of us now. You've got to go around
Yeah,
a lot clearer.
and we've also got a situation that he can't just stand here and obstruct. So he may decide he doesn't want to go for the ball. He might decide, I'm going to stand here and maybe be obstructive.
Yeah.
You know, that can't happen either. So as soon as he makes the tackle, he's got to get up on his feet and he's got to get around immediately through the gate.
Right, rollers, kicking in the ruck.
Yeah, no longer allowed.
Yeah.
All right, so very simply, what we're looking at here is there's a couple of occasions where you can have players, you know, ball down, players can be over, and there's a general tendency sometimes to kind of get a little toe poke, you know, to kick the ball out to the opposition side. All right, so we generally find it in two ways. You'll have the player who's going to come and maybe stab over the bodies that are actually there to give a little toe poke. You can't do that. Penalty kick.
Using the leg to kick it forward as Nash. Good chase coming up from De Masi. Makes the tackle. That's the other feature. The Italians are making their tackles. Ball is there. You can't kick at the ball like that. You can ruck it backwards though.
The other one is you can also have a situation where you've got a number of bodies that can be around in a situation where you've got opposition there and you decide you're going to kick it out. All right. Again, there's no kicking out. The only thing you're going to be allowed to do in this instance now, if you're on your feet, and the key thing is the player's got to be on his feet, is you can get some sort of a counter. So if you and me and whatever we're kind of going through and we get the ball back on our own side, no problem. All right, so that's the only thing that's allowed now, is you can hook it back in your own way rather than kicking the ball in the direction of your try line.
Straight into that midfield. From the full, the second row, trying to set it back. There's great counter-rucking though from England, and they will quite happily take the possession through Marka Street. Mitchell.
So rollers, what's the rationale behind this?
The key one is really player safety.
Yeah.
We've seen it in the past. The temptation is to try and disrupt, to try and get a swinging foot coming through to try and kick the ball, and we've had contact with the head area. Yeah. So number one, it's trying to eliminate and successfully eliminate any potential contact to the head, because the temptation is to kick the ball out. All right. And then the second part of it is just to make it consistent with how we operate the scrum. Okay. In the scrum, the only way you can get it back is by hooking the ball back. So we're tying it in line with that.
So if you do kick it through, what's the sanction?
Penalty kick.
Penalty.
Yeah. So anybody who kicks it out,
yeah,
it's a full arm penalty.
Okay.
This new law is going to introduce what we call just an offside line. Yeah. All right. So the key thing is, the key ingredient that's required is you need an arriving player. You must have a completed tackle, and the arriving player must step over the tackle area, yeah, to create an offside line. Once we have a player that arrives like that, he must stay here. All right. So if he goes past, well then it's not the same thing. Okay. So if he wants to create an offside line, he's got to take a clear step and position yourself with a foot either over like this. So this is the picture we need to see.
So now he's created an offside
line. So we
need
to see this picture, and once we see this picture, it now means that we've got an offside line at the hindmost foot here.
Okay.
All right. So in short, this guy, if he's going to take a step over, complete a tackle, we've created an offside line.
Yeah.
The question is sometimes, well, what if he all of a sudden sees there's nobody here? Can I play the ball? Yes, I can. So he'll step back, take the ball, and it means then that the offside line that's been created is no longer there. Yeah. All right. So if he wants to create an offside line and keep an offside line, he's got to stay here. If he decides that he's going to step back to take the ball, well then the offside line is no longer. All right. So the first thing is he steps over. Now we've got players from the tackler side who are on the wrong side. So how do we get them back on side? Again, the key thing, he's staying here, he's over the ball, so we have an offside line created. So these guys have got to either get back to the hindmost foot. So we now have a situation where they're at the very generous hindmost foot, but they're at the hindmost foot. So now they're back on side. Alternatively, if we find them on the wrong side, we can have a situation where one player standing over, next player can come in, he'll pass the ball maybe to a teammate, or he might run himself. He runs 5 meters. Once he gets to 5 meters, he's back in play. All right. Second option. And then the third option, again with the player standing over the ball, we could have a player who comes in, he might give it to his teammate, or he might do it himself, and he kicks it. And once the ball is kicked, well then anybody who's in this area that's technically in front of the offside line is back in play.
Okay.
So they're the three.
Three ways.
And getting him back in. So KT, what we're doing here is we're cleaning up this whole area, yeah, and we're bringing it in line with the ruck law. All right. So we've created an offside line.
Yeah.
Simple as, there's an offside line that's now created. Okay? So what happens to players that are on the wrong side? They've got to get back, get to the hindmost foot, if they're in a position to do so. If the ball is passed, if the ball is moved, insofar as a player runs 5 meters, he can be tackled. And likewise, if the ball is kicked, they're back onside.
Yeah.
And that's the only way these guys can kind of get back into it.
Okay.
Okay? If we have a situation where the player has not elected to stand over, and we have the players that are on this side here, they're not offside. We still have got the concept of open play.
Yeah.
So at this particular moment in time, if the ball was taken, he doesn't step over, he passes it to his teammate, and he's then tackled by this player, it's play on.
Okay.
Because it's open play.
Open play.
So the only way that you can protect yourselves and get yourself your offside line is by taking that solid step over and staying there, and that creates the offside line, and it means then that everybody has got to go as if, as you would normally would.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay.
So the last thing we need to just look at is we will have all the players that can be in. The ball can be up and it can be inside. We can have here, we can have this player here, and we've got no contact.
Okay.
All right, we've got no contact. And then the thing is, can this fella pick the ball? All right, he's got the ball in between his 2 feet. So just like a situation, he's able to pick that and go. So he can go. All right, because we've got no contact. We don't have a ruck.
Player.
No opposition has made contact. We have formed a line, but he's still entitled to play the ball.
So our opposition are here.
Yeah.
They haven't engaged.
So they haven't engaged. So if he wants to pick it and go, he can.
Okay.
So if we take a situation there, KT, where we look at that exact one, and when there is a situation where there is contact, so he stands over, his players are in with him as well. We now have we've a ruck. Now at this stage, the only person that can play this ball is whoever is at the hindmost foot. So this player can no longer has any rights to the ball. He cannot play with his hands because the ruck has been formed. So whoever is at the hindmost foot is in a position, and you probably have the halfback or the last man at the breakdown would be entitled to be able to do that.
Whereas we get rid of these blokes.
You get rid of those two fellas.
Stay there.
Yeah, so long as the ball is in between, he's got to have it in between his 2 feet. He cannot. If you're asking me, well, what if the ball was back here? You know, is he allowed to reach all the way back and take it from there? No, the ball must be here in between. He's got to have at least 1 foot behind the ball, and if there's no contact, he can go.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.